First contact and initial invasion. The Claverian Empire had conquered 17 star systems in the last decade alone. Their methodology was brutally efficient. Identify a technologically developing world, overwhelm it with superior firepower, establish dominance, and extract resources. For centuries, this approach had yielded consistent results across 3 galactic arms. The Empire's expansion seemed unstoppable, its military might unquestionable. Admiral Trevin Vrenex stood on the command deck of the Subjugator, the flagship of the Claverian Third Fleet. His tall, gaunt frame was draped in the dark crimson uniform that struck fear across the stars. 6 gleaming medals of conquest adorned his chest, each representing a world that had fallen to his strategic brilliance. Soon, he expected to add a 7th. Distance to target system. Vrenex inquired, his voice a low rumble that carried across the bridge. The navigation officer, a small humanoid with pale blue skin, responded immediately. Entering the outer boundary now, Admiral. Planet designation, Earth, will be visible on main display in 3, 2, 1. The holographic projection shimmered to life before them, revealing a blue-green world wrapped in swirling white clouds. Primitive, Vrenex observed. Our scans indicate rudimentary space capabilities, fossil fuel dependency, and internal political divisions. The conquest difficulty rating is designated as minimal. He turned to his second-in-command. Commander Luris, prepare the invasion protocol. Standard formation. I expect full planetary surrender within 72 hours. Commander Luris nodded sharply. Understood, Admiral. The fleet stands ready. What neither Vrenex nor the Claverian High Command understood was that their intel on Earth was fatally flawed. The periodic monitoring probes they had relied upon had been detected by Earth governments decades earlier. Since then, a carefully orchestrated deception had been maintained, allowing the aliens to see only what humans wanted them to see. Earth was far more than it appeared. Commander Sarah Chen stood in the global defense bunker buried 2 miles beneath the Swiss Alps. Around her, officers from 27 nations worked in coordinated silence, their focus absolute. On the central display, red triangles representing the incoming Claverian vessels multiplied as they approached Earth's orbit. They're right on schedule, General Williams of the United States Space Force noted, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. Tactical analysis. Chen, appointed as Supreme Tactical Officer after 15 years of distinguished service in both conventional and space warfare, studied the formation of the approaching fleet. Their configuration suggests they're following standard invasion protocol, just as our intelligence suggested they would. They've divided their forces into 3 waves: vanguard, main assault, and orbital support. She zoomed in on the lead vessels. What they don't know is that we've been studying their tactics for years. We're ready. Dr. Marcus Rivera, head of Earth's Unified Defense Research Division, joined them at the command table. His normally cheerful demeanor was replaced by intense concentration. The adaptive shield network is online, he reported. Atmospheric defense grids are charged to 100% capacity, and our countermeasure systems have locked onto their communication frequencies. He allowed himself a tight smile. They think they're hunting us. They have no idea they've walked into our trap. General Williams nodded grimly. Execute Operation Thunderfall. Let's show these conquerors what happens when you threaten Earth. The first indication that this wouldn't be a standard conquest came when the Claverian vanguard entered Earth's upper atmosphere. Admiral Vrenex watched with growing disbelief as warning signals flashed across his command console. What is happening? He demanded. Commander Luris frantically worked the controls. Unknown energy signatures activating across the planet's surface and in orbit, Admiral. They appear to have defensive capabilities we didn't detect. Impossible. Vrenex slammed his fist on the console. Our intelligence indicated no such technology. The main screen suddenly displayed multiple incoming projectiles, hundreds of them, launching from concealed silos across Earth's surface, and from orbital platforms that had been masquerading as debris or defunct satellites. Evasive maneuvers. Vranex ordered. All ships, defensive protocols. But it was too late. The first wave of Earth's counterattack struck the Claverian vanguard with devastating precision. Advanced kinetic penetrators, developed in secret over decades, punched through the alien shields as if they were tissue paper. Electromagnetic pulse weapons disabled ship after ship, sending them spiraling toward the planet's surface. In the command bunker, Commander Chen watched the unfolding battle with calculated satisfaction. "First phase successful," she reported. "Enemy vanguard neutralized at 67%. Minimal orbital defense casualties." Dr. Rivera's team had already begun analyzing the real-time data from the engagement. Their shield harmonics are adapting, but slower than we anticipated. Implementation of countermeasure sequence, Gamma 3 is recommended. General Williams gave the order. Execute Gamma 3. All Earth defense forces, maintain position and prepare for the main assault wave. Admiral Vranex could not comprehend what was happening. In 300 years of Claverian military history, no initial assault had ever failed so catastrophically. Even more disturbing was the realization that Earth's defensive capabilities were not only unexpected, but appeared specifically designed to counter Claverian technology. "They knew we were coming," he murmured, the implications sending a chill down his spine. "They've been preparing for us." "Admiral," Commander Laris interrupted his thoughts. "The vanguard has been decimated. 43 ships lost, 31 disabled. Our main assault fleet awaits your orders." Vrenex's military training took over. This setback, while significant, did not change the fundamental equation. The Claverian main assault fleet still outnumbered Earth's visible defenses by a factor of 6. Victory would be delayed, not denied. "Launch the main assault," he ordered. "All vessels, full combat deployment. Adjust shield harmonics based on vanguard data. Target their defensive infrastructure first, then population centers." The massive ships of the Claverian main fleet surged forward, their weapons systems powering up to unleash destruction on a planetary scale. On Earth, the unified defense forces braced for the next phase of the battle. In command centers across the globe, military leaders watched the approaching armada with grim determination. "They're adapting faster than expected," Commander Chen observed. "Their shield configurations are shifting to counter our initial attack vectors." Dr. Rivera nodded. "As anticipated. That's why we developed the Chameleon Protocol." He turned to General Williams. "With your permission, sir, I believe it's time to reveal our true capabilities." The general gave a single nod. "Authorized. Show them what humanity can really do." Dr. Rivera opened a secure channel to all Earth defense platforms. "All units, execute Chameleon Protocol. Authentication code, Phoenix Rising." Across Earth and its orbit, concealed weapons platforms suddenly transformed. What had appeared to be civilian satellites, weather stations, and even orbital debris rearranged themselves, mechanical components shifting and connecting to form an interlocking defensive grid that surrounded the planet like a web of steel and energy. From the Claverian perspective, it was as if Earth had suddenly grown armor. "What is this?" Vranex demanded as new readings flooded his sensors. Where did these defenses come from? His science officer stared at the displays in disbelief. They appeared to have disguised their military infrastructure as civilian technology. "Admiral, our initial scans didn't distinguish between them because we've never encountered this level of deception before." The implications were staggering. The humans hadn't just prepared for invasion. They had orchestrated an elaborate planetary-scale deception, specifically designed to lure in the Claverian fleet. Before Vranex could issue new orders, Earth's true defensive capabilities revealed themselves. Energy beams lanced out from the newly transformed orbital platforms, slicing through Claverian shields calibrated to defend against the previous attacks. Swarms of autonomous combat drones, thousands of them, emerged from hidden lunar bases surrounding Claverian vessels in coordinated attack patterns. And most devastating of all, a series of gravitational distortion weapons, technology the Claverians had believed impossible for a primitive species to develop, created localized space-time anomalies that twisted and crushed Claverian ships as if they were made of paper. Commander Chen watched the battle unfold with the calm demeanor of someone who had rehearsed this scenario hundreds of times. Second phase proceeding as planned, she reported. Enemy main assault force effectiveness reduced by 40% and declining rapidly. Dr. Rivera studied the incoming data with professional interest. Their adaptive algorithms are impressive, but they're reacting to what they know. They have no conceptual framework for half the technology we're deploying. General Williams allowed himself a small smile. That was the point of our deception, wasn't it? Let them think we were still burning fossil fuels while we developed technology that would leave them in the dust. On the bridge of the subjugator, Admiral Vrenex faced the unthinkable. Defeat. Ship after ship in his once mighty fleet was being destroyed or disabled by weapons he barely understood. His tactical officers were shouting reports of failures across all systems as Earth's defenders systematically dismantled the Claverian assault. How is this possible? He demanded of no one in particular. They're supposed to be primitive. Their most advanced vessels barely reached their own moon. Commander Laris, his uniform scorched from an electrical fire on the bridge, approached with a grim expression. Admiral, I believe we've been deceived. Long-range scans are detecting artificial structures on their moon, Mars, and in the asteroid belt. They've had an interplanetary presence for decades, possibly centuries. They concealed it from our probes. Vrenex stared at the tactical display, watching as more of his ships were enveloped by Earth's inexplicable defenses. A terrible realization dawned on him. The Claverian Empire, for all its power and conquest, had fundamentally misunderstood what they were facing. Prepare the retreat signal, he ordered, the words bitter in his mouth. We will withdraw the remaining fleet beyond their defensive perimeter and reassess. Commander Laris hesitated. Admiral, the High Command expects. The High Command isn't here. Vrenex snapped. If we continue this assault, we will lose the entire fleet. Prepare for tactical withdrawal. As the order went out, Vrenex stared at the blue-green planet on his view screen with newfound respect and trepidation. For the first time in his distinguished military career, he had encountered a species that had not only anticipated the Claverian strategy, but had prepared a perfect counter for it. The question now was what these humans would do next. Would they be content with defending their world, or would they pursue the retreating Claverian fleet? The thought sent a shiver down his spine. The galaxy had just become a much more dangerous place. On Earth, Commander Chen watched the Claverian fleet begin its retreat. They're withdrawing, General, she reported. Do we pursue? General Williams considered the question carefully. Negative. Our primary objective was planetary defense, and we've achieved that. Let them go, for now. They'll be back, and with greater numbers. We need to prepare. Dr. Rivera nodded in agreement. And we will be ready. This was just phase 1 of our capabilities. He gestured to a secure datapad displaying schematics for weapon systems still under development. Wait until they see what humanity can really do when provoked. As the Claverian fleet limped away from Earth, the humans began preparations for the next inevitable encounter. The message was clear. Earth was not prey. Earth was not a conquest waiting to happen. Earth was a planet of warriors and innovators who had just announced their presence to the galaxy in the most emphatic way possible. The Claverians had sought to conquer Earth. They never expected humanity's fury, counter-offensive, and triumph. The Claverian High Command received Admiral Vrenex's retreat report with stunned disbelief. For a species that had known only conquest for 3 centuries, the concept of a significant military defeat was almost incomprehensible. The emergency council session stretched into its 14th hour as military strategists and political leaders grappled with the implications. This cannot stand, Grand Admiral Coral declared, her voice echoing through the vast chamber. No species defies the Claverian Empire and survives to speak of it. We will assemble the combined fleet, all 7 battle groups. We will return to this Earth and reduce it to molten slag. Murmurs of approval rippled through the assembly, but Admiral Vrenex stood firm. With respect, Grand Admiral, I believe that approach demonstrates the same flawed thinking that led to our initial failure. Vrenex projected the battle data for all to see. These humans anticipated our tactics with uncanny precision. Their technology is far beyond what our reconnaissance suggested. Most concerning of all, they revealed their capabilities in calculated stages, which means they are still concealing their true strength. Grand Admiral Coral's eyes narrowed. What are you suggesting, Admiral? I am suggesting that we have encountered something unprecedented. A species that has studied us for decades while deliberately presenting a false image of technological inferiority. They didn't just defeat us. They executed a trap generations in the making. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Nevertheless, Choral finally responded. The Empire's authority must be maintained. Prepare the combined fleet. We leave for Earth in 3 cycles. On Earth, the celebration of victory was tempered by the knowledge that they had merely won the first battle, not the war. In the global defense bunker, Commander Chen studied long-range sensor data with growing concern. They're mobilizing their entire military, she reported to the assembled Earth Defense Council. 7 battle groups, over 2,000 ships. They'll reach our system in approximately 2 weeks. General Williams nodded grimly. As expected, the Claverians have never retreated from a conquest. Their entire cultural identity is built on military dominance. Then we must show them that such identity is obsolete, said Ambassador Ndiaye, representing the African Union. Dr. Rivera, what is the status of our defensive preparations? Dr. Rivera stepped forward, activating a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. Phase 1 defenses performed beyond expectations, but as predicted, they won't be sufficient against a force of this magnitude. Fortunately, we've been preparing Phase 2 for over 15 years. The hologram shifted to display a complex network of installations throughout the solar system, some visible, others still under construction. The Aegis network is now at 87% completion, Rivera continued. Mars Defense Platform Alpha is fully operational, and the Jupiter orbital batteries will be online within 3 days. But our true advantage lies in deployment strategy, not just technology. Commander Chen nodded. The Claverians still believe this is merely about defending Earth. They don't understand that we've been planning for galactic emergence for decades. Our counterstrike is already in motion. A hologram zoomed out to reveal small, stealth human vessels moving through the outer reaches of the solar system, a vanguard force heading toward Claverian territory. Operation Distant Thunder, General Williams explained. While their combined fleet approaches Earth, our advanced strike teams will infiltrate their home systems, not to attack civilians, he clarified, seeing concerned faces around the table, but to gather intelligence and, if necessary, disable key military infrastructure. This is the moment humanity has been preparing for since we detected their first probe 60 years ago, Ambassador Ndiaye said solemnly. Not just to defend our world, but to establish our place among the stars. Let us hope the Claverians can be made to understand diplomacy before we are forced to further demonstrate our military capabilities. Admiral Vrenex stood aboard his new flagship, the Indomitable, watching as the massive combined fleet assembled in formation. Never in recorded history had the Claverian Empire deployed such overwhelming force against a single world. The sheer firepower assembled could reduce a dozen planets to molten rock. Yet Vrenex felt no confidence, only growing unease. Final preparations are complete, Admiral, Commander Luris reported. The fleet awaits your command. Vrenex studied the tactical displays. Have the scout vessels returned from their reconnaissance mission? No, Admiral. All 12 advanced scouts sent to the Earth system have gone silent. We must assume they were detected and neutralized. This confirmed Vrenex's fears. The humans weren't resting on their victory. They were expanding their defensive perimeter and improving their detection capabilities. Grand Admiral Coral expects us to lead the vanguard, Laris reminded him. And we shall, Vrenex replied. But we will adjust our approach. The humans have demonstrated they can counter our standard invasion protocols. We must adapt. Laris looked doubtful. The battle plans have already been approved by High Command. Deviation would be unusual. So is defeat, Commander, Vrenex said sharply. And I have no intention of experiencing it twice. Dr. Rivera hurried through the sprawling underground complex that housed Earth's most advanced research facilities. Hundreds of scientists from around the world worked in specialized labs, refining technologies that had been developed in secret over decades. He entered the central chamber where his most elite team was putting the finishing touches on humanity's ultimate defensive weapon. Status report, he demanded, his exhaustion evident after 3 days without sleep. Dr. Aisha Sharma, the brilliant quantum physicist who had pioneered the technology, looked up from her workstation. The Nexus is stable, Marcus. Field tests show 98.7% effectiveness against all known Claverian weapon systems. Rivera examined the data streaming across multiple screens, and the power requirements. Significant, but manageable. The fusion network can sustain full deployment for 72 hours before requiring a recharge cycle. The Nexus was the culmination of humanity's scientific achievement, a quantum field manipulation system that could selectively disrupt the fundamental forces binding matter together. Against organic targets, it was harmless. Against advanced technology, it was devastatingly effective, causing critical systems to simply fall apart at the molecular level. The ethical constraints are encoded and locked, Dr. Sharma assured him, anticipating his next question. The system cannot be used against habitable worlds or civilian vessels. Only military targets designated by at least 3 independent command authorities. Rivera nodded with satisfaction. Humanity's first contact with alien life may have been an invasion, but we haven't abandoned our principles. He checked the deployment schedule. Begin final installation on the orbital platforms. I want the system ready within 36 hours. As his team mobilized, Rivera allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this moment, not just technologically, but philosophically. The question wasn't whether they could defeat the Claverians, but what kind of interstellar species humanity would choose to become once the threat was eliminated. Commander Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Lunar Command, watching Earth rotate slowly below, a blue jewel against the blackness of space. Soon, that view would be obscured by the largest alien fleet ever assembled in this sector of the galaxy. Her comm unit chimed, and General Williams' holographic image appeared beside her. The Claverian Combined Fleet has entered the outer solar system, he reported without preamble. Their approach vector suggests they've modified their strategy. They're coming in more cautiously this time. Chen had expected nothing less. They're learning. That makes them more dangerous. Yes, but they're still operating from a position of fundamental misunderstanding. They believe this is about conquest, that they simply need to apply more force to achieve their objective. Williams shook his head. They don't understand that humanity has been gaming this scenario for generations. Chen turned to face the general's hologram. Operation Distant Thunder. Proceeding as planned. Our stealth vessels have penetrated their home system defenses without detection. Strategic assets have been identified, and targeting solutions locked. Williams' expression was grave. We're ready to execute on your command, but I hope it doesn't come to that. Chen nodded. As do I, General. Let's give Admiral Vrenex one more chance to recognize the futility of his mission. The Claverian Combined Fleet decelerated as it approached Mars orbit, maintaining tight formation. Admiral Vrenex had modified their approach, deploying sensor drones in a wide perimeter and maintaining shield strength at maximum. He would not be caught unprepared a second time. Unusual energy readings detected throughout the system, Admiral, his science officer reported. The humans appear to have constructed defensive installations on multiple planets and moons. Vreenek studied the data with growing concern. In the weeks since their first encounter, humanity had expanded their military presence throughout their solar system at an astonishing rate. What kind of civilization could mobilize resources so quickly? Admiral, Commander Laris interrupted his thoughts. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's directed specifically to you. Vreenek raised an eyebrow. Put it through. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Her expression was calm, her posture straight. Admiral Vreenek, she began. I am Commander Sarah Chen of Earth's Unified Defense Force. We are aware of your fleet's presence and capabilities. Before you commit to an action that cannot be undone, I invite you to consider your position carefully. Vreenek maintained his composure. Commander Chen, I represent the will of the Galactic Empire. Your resistance, while impressive, cannot stand against the combined might of our civilization. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with dignity. Chen's expression didn't change. Admiral, I don't believe you understand the situation. Your initial invasion force was defeated by less than 15% of Earth's defensive capabilities. Since then, we have activated our full military infrastructure throughout our solar system. The screen split to show tactical displays of defense platforms on Mars, Jupiter's moons, and throughout the asteroid belt, all powered up and targeting the Claverian fleet. More importantly, Chen continued, we have vessels positioned within your home systems. Your military command centers, shipyards, and power generation facilities are all within our strike capability. The screen changed again to show unmistakable footage of Claverian military installations, clearly taken by vessels that had somehow penetrated deep into their territory undetected. Vreenek felt ice in his veins. This was impossible. No species had ever penetrated Claverian home defenses. This can end one of two ways. Admiral, Chen said, her voice level. Either you withdraw your fleet and open diplomatic channels, or we will be forced to demonstrate that humanity is not merely capable of defending our world, we are capable of bringing war to yours. In the tense silence that followed, Admiral Vreenek faced the most difficult decision of his career. The strategic reality was clear. The humans had outmaneuvered them completely. They had not only prepared an impenetrable defense, but had somehow positioned offensive capabilities within the heart of Claverian territory. Admiral, Commander Laris prompted quietly. Grand Admiral Korel expects us to launch the assault within the hour. Vreenek turned to his executive officer. The Grand Admiral is not seeing what I'm seeing, Commander. If we attack, we will not only lose this fleet, we will expose our homeworlds to counterattack. He straightened his uniform. Prepare a priority transmission to High Command. I am recommending immediate cessation of hostilities and the opening of diplomatic channels with Earth. The bridge fell silent. What Vreenek proposed was unprecedented in Claverian history. That recommendation may be seen as treasonous, Admiral, Laris warned. Perhaps, Vreenek acknowledged. But I would rather face a court-martial than lead thousands of Claverian warriors to a meaningless death. The humans have beaten us not just tactically but strategically. They prepared for this confrontation for generations while we stumbled into it blindly. Before Laris could respond, alarms blared across the bridge. Multiple energy spikes detected. The tactical officer shouted, "The humans are powering weapon systems across their defensive network." Vreenek turned back to the screen where Commander Chen still waited. "What is the meaning of this? You offer diplomacy while preparing to fire." "A demonstration, Admiral," Chen replied calmly, "to ensure there is no misunderstanding about the seriousness of our position." A brilliant beam of energy lanced out from a platform on Mars moon Phobos, striking the small uninhabited asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Instead of exploding, the asteroid simply disintegrated, its molecular bonds apparently severed instantaneously. "That was the Nexus system," Chen explained. A quantum field manipulator that can selectively disrupt matter at the molecular level. It cannot harm organic life. We've ensured that with multiple safeguards. But against technology, the results are as you've just witnessed. She leaned forward slightly. We have Nexus platforms targeting every vessel in your fleet, Admiral. We also have similar systems positioned near your major military installations in your home systems. We don't wish to use them. The choice is yours. 3 days later, Commander Sarah Chen stood in the Grand Hall of the newly constructed Earth Diplomatic Center in Geneva. Beside her, Dr. Rivera and General Williams waited as the Claverian delegation was escorted into the chamber. Admiral Vrenex led the group, his tall frame rigid with formal dignity. Behind him came scientists, diplomats, and military officials, the first official Claverian delegation to ever visit Earth. The Admiral approached Chen and offered a formal bow, a gesture he had clearly studied from human customs. Commander Chen, he greeted her. On behalf of the Claverian High Council, I present their authorization to negotiate terms of armistice and, potentially, lasting peace between our peoples. Chen returned the bow. Admiral Vrenex, Earth welcomes the opportunity for peaceful dialogue. Please, join us. As they moved toward the conference table, Vrenex spoke quietly. I must admit, Commander, my people are still struggling to understand how Earth managed to conceal its true capabilities for so long. Our intelligence network is considered the finest in the known galaxy. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps that was your first mistake, Admiral. Assuming that intelligence flows in only one direction. We detected your first probe 63 years ago. Since then, every piece of information you gathered about Earth was precisely what we wanted you to see. Vrenex nodded slowly. A deception spanning generations. Impressive. But why? If your technology was so advanced, why hide it? Because we were studying you, Admiral. Learning how the galaxy operates. We observed how the Claverian Empire treated worlds that displayed advanced technology versus those that appeared primitive. We made a strategic decision to appear vulnerable while building our strength. She paused. We hoped first contact might come peacefully, but we prepared for the alternative. And now, Vrenex asked, what does Earth want from the galaxy? Chen considered the question carefully. To be left in peace, to trade and exchange knowledge with those who come as equals, not conquerors, and to ensure that any species that threatens humanity understands the consequences. Her expression softened slightly. But we would prefer allies to enemies, Admiral. That's why we're here today. As they took their seats at the conference table, Dr. Rivera activated a holographic display showing the known galaxy, with Earth now prominently marked as a significant power. Shall we begin? Chen asked. Admiral Vrenex looked around at the human delegation. Scientists and warriors who had orchestrated the most thorough defeat in Claverian history. For the first time in his life, he felt something like respect for a species other than his own. Yes, Commander, he replied. Let us begin. In the months that followed, humanity's position in the galactic community underwent a dramatic transformation. The species that many advanced civilizations had dismissed as primitive newcomers was suddenly recognized as a major power, one that had defeated the previously unstoppable Claverian Empire not through superior numbers, but through strategy, innovation, and foresight. 3 delegations from a dozen alien species arrived on Earth, eager to establish relations with this surprising new player on the galactic stage. Military analysts throughout the galaxy scrambled to reassess humanity's capabilities, often coming to worrying conclusions about just how advanced Earth's technology might truly be. In the reconfigured Global Defense Command, Commander Chen reviewed the latest reports with Dr. Rivera and General Williams. The Claverians are honoring the treaty, Williams noted with satisfaction. Their military forces have withdrawn from 3 contested systems, and they've opened their scientific databases to exchange programs. Dr. Rivera nodded. Their quantum physics is quite advanced in some areas. The exchange will benefit both species. And the others? Chen asked. The Talaxian Federation has proposed a mutual defense pact, Williams replied. The Dorvan Collective is seeking trade agreements. Even the Voth Imperium, which has historically isolated itself, has requested diplomatic contact. Chen allowed herself a moment of pride. Earth had not just survived first contact. It had emerged as a respected power, feared by potential enemies and valued by potential allies. There's still the question of how we proceed, Dr. Rivera said thoughtfully. We developed our technology in secret, preparing for a threat we knew would eventually come. Now that the immediate danger has passed, what kind of interstellar civilization does humanity wish to become? General Williams leaned back in his chair. That's not a military decision. The United Earth Council will need to chart that course. Chen looked out the window at the sprawling diplomatic complex where representatives from across Earth, and now, across the galaxy, were shaping humanity's future. We've proven we can fight when necessary, she said quietly. Now we need to prove we can lead, can build, can inspire. The galaxy has met humanity's fury. It's time they witnessed humanity's wisdom. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Vrenex stood on the observation deck of the Claverian diplomatic vessel, watching the blue planet rotate slowly below. Behind him, a junior officer approached cautiously. Admiral, our new orders have arrived from High Command. We are to remain as the permanent diplomatic delegation to Earth and facilitate the cultural exchange program. Vrenex nodded without turning. Very good, Lieutenant. If I may ask, Admiral, you don't seem disappointed to be removed from Fleet Command. Now Vrenex did turn, fixing the young officer with a penetrating stare. Do you know what makes a great military leader, Lieutenant? It's not the ability to win battles. It's the wisdom to recognize when fighting is no longer the path to victory. He gestured toward Earth. Those humans down there, they outwitted an empire that has conquered hundreds of worlds. They prepared for generations, studying us, learning our weaknesses, while presenting a false face to the galaxy. And when we finally gave them no choice but to fight, they defeated our best forces while barely revealing their true capabilities. Vrenex turned back to the viewport. No, Lieutenant, I'm not disappointed. I'm fascinated. For the first time in my career, I've encountered a species with both the power to destroy us and the wisdom to choose another path. I believe we have much to learn from them. As Earth continued its stately rotation below, humanity's place in the galactic order was forever changed. They had been tested by fire and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened, ready to take their place among the stars not as conquerors or victims, but as equals worthy of respect. The species that had come to conquer Earth had instead awakened a sleeping giant, one whose patience and foresight had transformed the first attempted invasion into the beginning of a new galactic era.